How's it going, Scorpio community? Soul Tiger is here with a special story for this wonderful frequency. So let's go ahead and get started. Your new awakening has begun, Scorpio. Fueled by the divine presenting you with a situation that's meant to rekindle your inner passions. This chaos you feel within, this confusion, is an old way of handling things because you're not used to understanding your needs. Over the years, you have been putting in work. You have gained so much knowledge about yourself, dear Scorpio. Use this to understand how to navigate out of this fog of confusion of what you have once known. Oh my goodness gracious. It sounds like the Scorpio in this story is going from their south node of what they've known into their north node energy. And this is the energy where I am ready to learn type of statement. It represents the energy that you're here to integrate into your life. This is also the energy where you are going to face a lot of fears. And a lot of fears that were kind of made up in here in a sense, but these fears came about as means to protect you from things that have happened in your past. So don't be hard on yourself about it. So let's go ahead and get started. As you see, the present is here, but a lot of things into the future you are worried about. So let's start uncovering this. The first thing that we're not seeing that you're at odds ends with is communication. Maybe communication with another. Again, there's a situation that has came into your life at some kind of randomness that you feel like that you don't know how to communicate with it, how to have a new type of communication, or even how to feel about them maybe communicating with you. This is something that's really hard, and maybe a part of protecting yourself is kind of having a big block up to things. So let's keep going. Something else that's here is learning how to give things time, especially giving yourself time to grow into what is happening here, step by step. A plant doesn't grow just from the stem up and producing leaves right away. The first step is it has to be rooted into something or placed into something. Then it gets rooted. So let things unfold one step at a time. Remember, we don't have to go 0 to 100 really quickly. We can take our time to navigate this and really filling it out, really filling ourselves out as we're facing this type of challenge here. Something else that you worry about is things separating. Maybe it's you're worried about putting in so much work just for things not to work out. Maybe you reflect from the times before and how the times before didn't work out. So right now you're not holding a lot of being able to see the potential of things. Now I know I say seeing the potential can definitely sit there and create expectations that are not going to happen. But sometimes we got to see ourselves in the potential of a new career, potentially going back to school for those seeds to start to get planted. Maybe there's a different type of potential here that you can look at. Maybe that's not everything has to end up in some type of separation, some type of chaos, some type of things that end up falling and crumbling at the end. And maybe that's something that you've taken from your past into how you view things with others when it comes to partnerships. Something else here is a vacation. Think about a vacation when you take off with somebody that you really care about, somebody that you like to have fun with. This is something that is really hard for you to see as a possibility for things that can happen in your future. Maybe it's with another. Maybe it's with yourself. Maybe it's with a certain place and being able to move around more in more ease type of environments. And the biggest thing when it comes to you reflecting about the future of things, and this actually is bringing a lot of tears to my eyes right now. Oh my goodness, because it's beautiful and it's very fitting, is we gotta let go. We gotta let go and allow things, the currents of life, to take us on our journeys. Think about a butterfly. A butterfly doesn't get up, doesn't like stick its finger out into the wind and like, I don't know, it's a little questionable today. No, a butterfly goes as they are meant to. They don't have the strongest wings compared to a bird of prey, compared to even a robin. They're more fragile than a lot of other insects or animals out there, but they don't let that stop them. They go on their journeys as they are meant to, and a lot of times you'll see a butterfly off on its own journeying. Think about how many times you've been off on your own on this journey. Think about how you've had to face the different currents of life and how, just like a butterfly, you got through it. Now, was it easy? No, it wasn't easy. But again, I like how the vibe comes out and it's asking you to really think about all the things that you've been healing from, all this inner work that you've been doing over the years to learn about yourself. So how can we heal something that we've taken as something to protect ourselves from a past situation now into how we see the future of things? And how can we start to let down those guards one step at a time, getting rooted in that we know ourselves a little bit more than what we knew ourselves in the past. Ooh, don't forget, you've been changing along the way. This whole time that you've been working on yourself, think about why you started to work on yourself. Think about those original goals. And I have a feeling with this present situation, this is making you face those manifestations that you've been working on over the years. And sometimes it can be a little scary when the divine is putting something right in front of you and you're just like, holy moly. I don't know if I asked for all this, but in a sense, you have. And maybe the divine believes it's time for you to take another step forward because you're ready. Oh my goodness. All right, ancestors, what is it that needs to come out for the present? I really like that introduction. It's very rare that an introduction will bring tears to my eyes, but it's very, very beautiful. And I'm sure many people can resonate with that. Sometimes it's hard to want to venture into new things with not knowing how to protect yourself at the same time as letting these new experiences come in. That is something too. But just know that you've learned yourself. You've learned about yourself enough to know your likes, dislikes, what you can put up with, what you won't put up with again. Remember that. And something that comes in doesn't have to be the undoing of all your lessons, Scorpio. I really like that because as I was saying that, the Emperor came out. And way back in the day before Pluto was discovered, Mars was your planet, Scorpio. Conflict. Talking about the things that we come into conflict. Something that you come into conflict is with how a tower has worked out at one time. Things that came down, things that had robbed you of your stability, it felt like. Definitely it was a lot of nights that you were up, haunted by the things that had been happening to you. In your past, though, you know that you had to conquer this chaos. You had to stand up. You had to stand strong. But at the same time, sometimes those memories defeat you. And this is why you are over-dominating in your present moment when it comes to new things trying to come your way. When it comes to contracts with others, Scorpio. And right here, I think you're always left on the brink of always knowing that, in a sense, you've not knowing, but you've taught yourself that it's going to be a lot of journeying by yourself, no matter who or what comes in towards you. And maybe that's something that we need to ease back on, because if we were always meant to be by ourselves, I think I told this to Aries, either this past story or a few stories back, is that if you were meant to do everything by yourself, Scorpio, then you would have been put on this planet by yourself. Ooh. Let that one sink in, because many people and places are teachers to us, whether of good lessons, bad lessons. A lot of times those bad lessons are there to help teach us how to protect ourselves, but also how to be grateful for being able to get ourselves out of those tough situations and believing in ourselves. Remember that. A few other things here is you're worried about certain masks falling off. And this is why it's really hard for you to journey emotionally to seeing how a partnership can be compatible. For some reason, you're afraid that something's going to look really good on the outside, but on the inside be something totally different. Something that will end up taking over your life. And you know what? We can get that with employers. We can get that in partnerships. We can get that when we fall in and out. When it comes to talking with family and stuff, you know, how do we give people another chance type of thing? How do I go about and find another place of work that isn't going to be like what I've had once before? This is something that's very realistic. And this is something that's really hard in your emotions. And this is really hard in the mind. Really, really hard in the mind. This is something that you overanalyze. And it's really hard to go with the flow of things when it comes to taking a chance. Something else that we have here at the distance is the Queen of Pentacles. Maybe in the past you're really hard on yourself. Maybe somehow you find that you were not giving enough. Or maybe you were giving too much. And you don't want to go down that rabbit hole again with somebody else who's going to create chaos for you. A business that's going to be very taking from you. And who's not going to honor the energies that you bring in, because like I said, this is something that has to do with your passions. And with this Queen of Coins here, she's a very nurturing queen. She's a queen that will take time with you. This feminine energy will sit with you and let you express yourself, but this energy is also going to see the things that you need and be there when you need that, showing up with the things that you need. And I feel like that's a lot of what your energy is. It's very compassionate. It's very passionate. It's not a provider. It is a provider type of energy, but not like I don't want to put, you may be the breadwinner, but I'm not putting it as breadwinner energy. I'm putting it as a stable place, a support system. That's what it is. And that's what you like to create. But even doing that in the past situations, that very energy has been robbed from you by others taking advantage of it. And something here with the future about letting go is letting go of this King of Pentacles in the past. What you thought was a good alignment. Maybe something that came in and rested with you when it was ready to go. But on the other side of things, I felt like this thing was very unpredictable. Maybe there was a lot of things happening behind closed doors or behind the veil that this, whoever it was, person, place, or thing, was up to. And in order to progress forward, you have to stop looking back at this one. Because looking back at this one is leading you tied to this past in your future. Oh, and it's really interesting that, you know, a lot of how you govern yourself is right here in the present, wanting to protect yourself. You know that the past was chaos. You know what you were showing up as, but it's so crazy that you're able to move this into the future of things. Whatever this was, it doesn't sit in your present, but it sits in the worries of the future. So where you may have let it go in the past, you haven't let it go when it comes to the worries of things. And the last card here for, this is very fitting, for the future when it comes to the worries is the World card. The World card, Capricorn, is represented by the Saturn. Saturn talks about how we seek security and how we resist change. Somewhere in the mind and in your heart, you don't want to let go of this situation. Why? Because you feel vulnerable if you do. Maybe if I let go of the situation, then I will forget what I need to protect myself from. I can understand that. But maybe it's not having so much armor on. Maybe it's not having your walls so built up. Maybe this time you learn when it's time to walk away sooner. You learn to read the signs when something doesn't feel right. And you learned what your value is and what you will put up with and what you won't put up with. Doesn't mean you got to go round and rounds with something else that reminds you of this. This just means that, you can be inviting, but also be protective. You don't have to submit to anybody or anything to have a good partnership. And maybe that's something here in the past when it comes to the over-dominating energy. There was a lot of, maybe if I draw back, this one, whoever it is, will see that I'm here for the long haul, whether it comes to person, place, and or thing. But that didn't work because every time you drew back, they became a bigger headache for you. It became tougher. It became harder. So now let's take into consideration everything that you've learned about yourself. You have a right to stand up for yourself. You have a right to determine what is not a good fit, what is a good fit. Just like you have a right to excuse yourself from situations that are no longer for you. Nobody says that you have to jump in and go all the way to 100 and be all in right away. Let's take some baby steps through this. Just like you took those baby steps through healing, let's see how to take baby steps with this situation. All right, so let's go ahead and call the angels of protection. Angels of protection, please help guide and keep us safe as we navigate the block for the Scorpio community. What is it that needs to come out for the Scorpio? All right, I'm hearing that is it. As you see, a lot of stuff comes into the present, even something into the future here when it comes to resisting, changing things, holding on to old ideas that help protect you up until this point so that you didn't have to face a lot of these other chaoses that could have came towards you. So when it comes to your past, when it comes to things, your past is you had a hard time. We would go from the Four of Swords to the Six of Swords. The thing in your past is that you weren't following your intuition. You weren't following your clarity. Here we go. See the swords. And this is something that led you to having health problems in the past. It led to maybe some autoimmune diseases. Maybe it led to you not being able to take care of yourself. But when the Six of Swords comes in reverse, this tells me, and this is this one right here, this tells me that you weren't being honest with yourself. You were self-sacrificing to keep whatever this was going. And the thing is we've been taught that in the older generations, that you put your head down and you keep chugging along. And you know what? If it doesn't get better, let's hope one day it gets better. If not, this is kind of where we're at, and we're going to stick it out long term here, no matter how we're being treated, no matter how much we got to put in effort more than the other type of thing. You found it, let's go ahead and stick with it. And I think that was something that was really hard for you, because inside your intuition, inside your emotional being was telling you this is not right. This is not right. But again, those old ideas, those old traditions were ruling you at this time. So let's keep going. Three of Cups. It's hard to look at things that you had celebrated in your past when things weren't really working out. And the thing is, this is what's left your judgment, especially when it comes to partnering with others. I'm hearing very overprotective, but also left you with some insecurities, especially when it comes to others possibly treating you right, being emotionally safe for you. Oh my goodness gracious. You know what? I have evolved to the point now that when I seek a relationship, I was telling, I was in a live stream, and I was telling them physically being attracted to somebody is really great. It really is. But I also want to be mentally attracted to them, and I want to know now that they're emotionally safe. Because I've been stuck in situations before where they can be mentally abusive in the way that they talk to you. They could take so much away from you that it makes it hard to take care of yourself. But at the same time, they are emotionally abusing you. And when you go through situations with people and places like that, it makes it really, really hard to see that anybody else is going to be something different. Any place is going to be something different. And this can definitely leave a person with their guard up. And again, this is something that comes under the divorce and the vacation, not knowing if you can celebrate with others truly, or if always they're wearing a mask to you, and that mask is going to fall off eventually. And then you're going to get the other version of them that's not so pleasant. And something in the future when it comes to that World card is the Three of Wands. How can you look at things a little differently? You healed from then until now for a reason. You had those goals, you had those intentions. Now, how can you see the outlook on things differently with being able to use the perspectives of the healed version that you are now. Because I still feel like through this protection, you're looking at looking out from the version of you that was still hurt. I think that's something here that's blocking you as well, dear Scorpio. And that's okay. Because at the core of it, you just want to protect yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it makes it hard for things to come into your life. But it also makes it hard to release things that no longer serve you anymore. Are you being human in this human experience? That's okay. That is okay. And just remember, you are right on time. So let's go ahead and call in divine, 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 and universal energy. What are the positive messages that you have here for the Scorpio frequency? Oh my goodness, I really like that one. I really, really like it. Just know, when you're able to really fill this out and to get through this challenge / lesson, you're going to be able to stand taller in yourself. You're going to be able to stand taller in the beliefs that you have about yourself, but also what you really want, what you need, and the type of personalities, places that you partner with. You'll have a certain kind of knowledge about yourself that is and will be protective without you having to have such high defenses. So let's go ahead and get started. When it comes to things, you really got to take a different view when it comes to the past, present, and future, especially when it comes to the emotions of things here. What has happened in the past, why it's happened, what led it to progress for so long. And we need to be okay with having a new day about it, having a new look at it. You know, I like to tell people when they tell me stories of their past and they want to be hard, I like to tell them, well, that's a part of being young and dumb. How were you meant to learn if you didn't have that experience? How are you supposed to know what you truly deserve if you didn't have an experience that drug you through the mud? We got to have those yin and yang experiences to be able to appreciate ourselves a little bit more, but also to learn how to grow. So something that I thought was really beautiful, that this is a part of your ascension, especially when it comes to navigating confusion within the mind and within the emotions. And something else is, this is beautiful too, is an inner journey. It is an inner journey, and I love this because when I was cleansing your cards, this was at the bottom. Sometimes we feel like our failures, our past where we thought where we were vulnerable, were points in time where we were really weak. And it wasn't that we were weak. It was just that we didn't know. And that's okay. We were doing what we knew to do. But as we have grown through the ages, as we grow through the different phases, think about all the things that you once knew that was right. It is no longer applicable. Like if you was to bust out a typewriter right now, if you went to a coffee shop, or if you were in college, or if you're somewhere out and about, to type up a message opposed to sending an email or a text message, you would be looked at as kind of crazy and out of date. Now you know that you have a cell phone and you can use this cell phone to send emails. You can use this cell phone to type up messages, correct? So what I'm getting at with that is letting ourselves mentally and emotionally be able to evolve, especially when it comes to the nuances of us and our new phases that we come into. Because sometimes we'll have our new phases, but we're bringing old stuff in with us. And that's a part of learning how to let go of things, especially when it comes to following your faith. I'm hearing to say the faith of you not giving up. All those reasons why you keep looking up instead of looking down when it comes to answers, when it comes to inspiration, when it comes to you never giving up. Oh my goodness. This is very, very beautiful, Scorpio. The tears want to come back again. And, you know, I really like this as well because anger came up when I was cleansing your cards away. There is a lot of anger in this past situation that you really don't realize. And maybe this anger has been fueled by this person making it feel like things are not possible for you. This place making you feel like things are not possible in a positive way. And that you can classify as resentment. And this is the thing that you need to change. You need to change. You need to change, but you also need to take action with it. Take action to help this change for you. And one of the actions is getting to the beliefs that unlimited possibilities are out there. Something of better nature than what you had before is out there. And the reason why it's out there is because you made it possible. What do I mean is if you were really doomed, or really if you were doomed to have the same situation as in your past really into the future of things, then wouldn't it be logical that you would already still be dealing with that stuff in your present? But you are so protective of yourself that you don't make room for that in your present. This is why it kind of skips the present and it goes into the worries of your future. And this is something that can be hard to maneuver in a sense, but it's also something that you need to learn how to stand strong in. Stand strong in your present moment. Stand strong in how you're protecting yourself, but also how you follow the intuition, how you've been following the guidance. You know, the divine only gives us things that we can handle. And obviously here, there's a manifestation that's being answered, and you're being put in a situation that makes you really, really reflect on the different blocks that you have. Keep doing that because you are going to enhance your clarity. You're going to enhance your intuition when it comes to listening to the guiding messages that are coming in to help you overcome this block that you still have up. Something else that's here is a reunion of souls. Like I said, you've really been working on something. You've been working on yourself for something in particular, Scorpio. You do have an end goal of wanting to have partnerships that are stable, partnerships that are nurturing, partnerships that you don't have to worry about a mask falling off, partnerships where you don't have to protect yourself so much from them, kind of thing. But in order to be able to get to that place, now we have to work on what has been holding us back, and especially when it comes to the fears of the future of things. You know what? I could almost put that there is some resentment in the past for things that have happened. Maybe the fact that you let things happen for so long. I would like to read this this quote from Carrie Fisher. I was reading this book recently, the one that I shared with y'all, and this one really hit home. Resentment is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to kick the bucket. Think about the resentment. Think about how you're drinking this poison in a sense to try and protect yourself. But this poison that you're drinking of resentment is actually holding you back and weakening from you being able to make progress in the areas that you've been working for. Let's think about that for a little bit. I really like this story right here. It was very genuine, very heartfelt, Scorpio. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your time, your energy, and your patience. And don't forget to thank your angels, ancestors, spirit guides, as well as divine and universal energy for coming on in and helping out. And as always, I hope that you have a most wonderful rest of your day.